TV where they pick the spot, you
Right,
know, it's
right.
like,
Yeah, no, I'm
That's
proud
right.
of
it's like there's no sense.
Oh, that's
Well,
great.
No.
yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hello, what a good surprise. Great to see you.
And I couldn't hear you.
Good, how are you?
Joe, okay.
And you are
Margaret?
Is that
That's
J-O-E?
my other grandma.
Really?
You're kidding. Dorothy and Margaret?
There's no one under the age of 1,000.
My grandmother was named Margaret, my
Really?
paternal grandmother was named Gertrude.
There's no one there's no one under the age of 1,000 that's named Dorothy.
She lived to be 98 years old, so I think she was born at like.
I'm named after my mom's best friend, and she lived to be, I think she was almost 100. Yes.
Okay, boys and girls, this is
That's longevity.
Yeah.
time to double check your phones.
Right. I gotta do that.
Greetings, friends. Greetings, YouTube friends, wherever you are throughout the known and unknown universes. So if you're joining us for the first time, these guys have been doing this forever. But in case you're joining us for the first time, be sitting comfortably. At any point, if you become uncomfortable, do whatever you need to do to be comfortable. Comfort is rule one. It's the first rule, just about the last rule, actually. We're not big on rules. This is natural meditation. We don't have a lot of rules because we don't have a lot that we're doing. The natural approach to meditation, pretty much you don't do it. It kind of does you, we could say. So, again, if this is your first time or your 1,000th time, just whatever concepts you might have about it, whatever memories you have of past experiences with any kind of meditation or whatever you've read or thought or expected, that's great. Just kind of, okay, there it is, it's right there, good. Oh, thank you, God bless. Now just push that over to the side for now. Put it on the side of your plate, and you can always come back to that later anytime you want. Oh, before I forget, we do have a little news. I just got the Omega Institute catalog, and there's all kinds of great things in here as usual. Omega Institute up near Woodstock, Rhinebeck, New York, including 5-day retreat led by yours truly, June 2nd through 7th, Living Beyond Fear. Living Beyond Fear, Anger, and Anxiety. They took the word addiction out of my title because someone else is doing an addiction workshop that week. But then you go into the description, you'll see it's about addiction. They just tweak the title a little bit. So it's a beautiful place. And there's always several other programs going on at the same time. They have certain times during your week there when you can go sample the other programs going on. The food is great, the place is gorgeous, you walk on the paths, you walk in the woods, you walk by the lake, I think you can swim in the lake. Sam was talking with me just a few minutes ago about the day-long retreat. Was this the first time I've seen you since the day-long?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just talking about how, what's the word you were using?
I don't think there's words in the English language to describe it. Powerful, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Just had a very powerful experience.
Okay, I just realized I failed to plug my microphone in.
They got great video.
Yeah, well they'll have the iPhone mic.
Sound last time.
Yeah.
Now they have video
Yeah.
now sound.
Technically, yeah. I'm just not a tech guy, so sometimes Sometimes we get picture and no sound, sometimes we get sound and no picture. Now we should be good. So, powerful, you were saying. The day, and that was a day-long retreat. That was from 10:30 in the a.m. to 5:30 in the p.m. So you could if you could kind of imagine extrapolating from there, you know, what would it be like if it was 5 days and you didn't have to go home at night? You were just still in that atmosphere, just immersed in that 24/7.
Is this going to be a silent retreat that you're leading at the Omega Institute?
I'm going to have to. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. I will have to check whether they feel it's conducive to science, because there are other programs going on which are not in silence.
Yeah.
So we'll see. You know, silence is good. I really, you know, retreating in silence is really great. But you know, retreating not in silence, that also works. You know, some of the teachers, some of the retreats I've been on, the teachers that I really just respect their skill. Rupert Spira, you know, his retreats are not in silence. And there's something to, you know, the way Rupert explains that is that, you know, that Sangha building, you know, building the community of meditators and finding that which you're finding within yourself. Connecting, finding that in others and connecting with that. You know, that's the Sangha. And that also happens in silence in a different way.
It does.
Yeah. But there's also something about, so, you know, one retreat that Yafa and I were on some years ago with our wonderful Buddhist teacher from Switzerland, Charles Genoux. This was in Texas. And he started off as a silent retreat, and after, I think it was the first day, he decided, okay, what we're going to, he said, you know, what happens sometimes on the retreats, you're deep in silence and then you come out and it's kind of a shock. He said, we're going to be silent every day from when you get up in the morning until through the end of lunch. And then from after lunch till the end of the evening, you're out of silence. So we're going to weave in and out of silence and integrate in silence, out of silence, in silence, out of silence through the week. So that's another way to do it. Maybe we'll do that at Omega. That might be more conducive. Because I have found sometimes that, you know, if Yafa and I, because we both love silence, so we'll go on a retreat and we're in silence and other people aren't. And, you know, if the atmosphere is not quite supporting that, it's a little more difficult. But whatever it is, it's good. Hi, Tommy. Great to see you. Okay, so that's June 2nd through 7th. Save the date. Unless you've got something more important to do than achieving the cessation of suffering and living in perpetual liberation and bliss. What else you got? Okay, so. Let's just look around the room. Speaking of silence, I'm looking at this chair. This chair is very silent. You know? These skylights are not a peep out of them. You know, people look for silence in themselves. And look at this, we're surrounded by silence. You know, how is that done? Where's the silence? Oh, it's rug, perfect silence. So just kind of look around and notice that. Notice that. Sip the silence from the different things. All these friendly objects we're surrounded by. I recently started to notice, you know, in your silverware drawer in your house, how yeah, there's that fork. You know, there's that knife, and there's the other kind of fork. And I realized they're like old friends. You know, there's a little, you see that? Oh yeah, there's that guy. Hey, hi. Like old, now that I say that, can you kind of hear that? Is that old friends? Have any of you ever seen footage of the Dalai Lama? There's a couple of documentaries about the Dalai Lama where you see him like in the receiving line or something, and where people are coming up to him and they're getting their, you know, usually whatever, 10 seconds or something with him. And you see there's this thing that goes on that for him, he's looking at this person that he's maybe never met, and it's like, this is the whole universe for him. His attention, all his love is there. And he talks about it sometimes, and he says, every person that I meet, I regard them as my old friend. I'm like being reunited with my long lost friend. So, why not just, if he can consider all these people his long lost friends, why not consider the chairs, the rugs, and then after you leave here, the trees that you walk past, you know, all of these are your dear friends. And they're all your silent friends, feeding you, nourishing you with silence. And you know, we could rest, let's not even close our eyes for now. You know, what if now we just bring our gaze to rest? Just easily allow your gaze to rest in front of you. Not staring, not trying not to blink, just like gazing here and gazing here, only now you're gazing here. Maybe slightly elevated. And notice how wide is your peripheral vision. Like, most of you are sitting too close together to do this, but just, you know, like if I wiggle my fingers, I can still see them. I can still see them. So just notice how wide your peripheral vision is. If you have room to do it, you can try this. Otherwise, just kind of do it in your imagination. Right? And just notice how wide your peripheral vision is. Usually we are only paying attention to the kind of tunnel vision part in the middle. But really, I have this feeling of like, oh, I'm taking the top down off the convertible. Oh, here's this lovely wide view. So I can, without having to even look around, I've got all these wonderful silent friends. All this wall and this photo and this photo and this bookcase and this window and this window and these people here. All these wonderful silent friends. I've just got this whole tapestry of them that I can rest in. I can rest in. And just resting in this silence. Again, we're not staring, we're not straining. We're basically doing what you do when you go to the movies. You do this for 2 hours at a time at the movies. You just sit somewhere, relax, sit back, and enjoy the show, whatever is there in front of you. And what's there in front of you is all your long-lost, silent best friends. Just kind of resting in their silence, resting in their love. You can let your jaw hang open a little bit. Like you've said, actually we can invoke it's a great mantra we can invoke here. Duh. Say that 1, 2, 3, duh. And then keep your jaw hanging open. The duh mantra, which means, I don't know. I don't know nothing. I'm not going to try to figure anything out. Nothing to strategize. Just hanging out in all this silence with all these friends. Not trying to concentrate, not trying to control our thoughts. Thoughts are just things that are there as part of the tapestry, just like the colors in the room. More silent friends. Now, if you're really feeling like, oh man, this is a strain, I'm used to meditating with my eyes closed, that's fine. Feel free to close your eyes. You know, we go with what's easy, we go with what's comfortable. And really all that changes is when you close your eyelids, you see different colors. You see the subtle colors behind your eyelids, and you rest there. You're just resting in these more vivid colors in the room. Doesn't make much difference. Either way. So whatever colors are there, wonderful, our best friends. Whatever sounds are there, perfect, best friends. Whatever sensations, feelings, hot or cold, quiet mind or busy mind, doesn't matter. Whatever's there, just rest aware.
The rain comes and goes. Thunder comes and goes. The thoughts come and go. Feelings and sensations come and go. It's all the same. Notice how it all happens by itself. There's nothing for you to do about the thoughts or the feelings any more than there's anything for you to do about the rain and the thunder. Just all these wonderful best friends coming and going. We just continue to hang out as the space within which they come and go, the space of awareness. Which has plenty of room for all these friends. And which is not harmed or improved by the presence or absence of any of them. Space is space, perfectly empty, open, free. This space of awareness, of experiencer, which is you. So there's nothing to do but remain as you are. Free, open, empty, aware, space. Anytime you feel tangled up in something, tangled up in some effort or resistance or confusion, just relax your grip on it, whatever it is that you're tangled up with. Don't try to figure it out or make it go away. Just relax your grip on it. And relax back into yourself, into this open, empty, free space of awareness. Anytime you feel, oh gee, I've wandered off, no, you haven't. Where could you wander to? All experience is happening right here in this aware, open space. Where else could it be? It's just some little piece of the experience, some train of thoughts or something that you've kind of fixated on, and all you have to do is relax your grip on it. Relax back into the space, which is always right here. Because you're always right here. Just remain as space, as you already are. That's simple. What are you doing? Is there something you're doing that you're going to stop doing when I ring the bell? And if so, stop doing it now. take a break. Even some subtle effort or intentionality, some trying to be meditating, just throw it into the fire. Throw everything into the fire, everything that can be thrown. And just enjoy the free space that remains when you throw everything into the fire. Hang out in that, relax in that. And take a few minutes to bring the body back to a more active state. Okay, how's everyone doing? Okay. Any questions or observations about whatever just happened? Yes. Tell me your name again. I'm sorry. Joe.
Talking about the sun, it's like, my tinnitus was really loud tonight.
You're,
Tinnitus?
you're tinnitus. Tinnitus or tinnitus.
So
Yeah.
the rain coming over was a nice sort of
Right,
cover for that for a while.
right.
But have you worked with anybody else who has that, or have any specific?
Yes, yeah. I have a touch of it myself.
It's not always.
Right. Yeah. Mine is like, I had my annual physical this year. And actually, my doctor was asking me about that. I said, it's like someone across the room jingling change in his pocket. Right. Yeah. Well, what's been your experience with it and vis-a-vis meditation and the tinnitus or tinnitus?
Sometimes it really makes it very noticeable, but not always.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I know when I first was having it a lot, like when I would read, it was really bothersome to me because you're being quiet, and so then you notice it much more as opposed to when you have distractions
Right.
around you.
Right.
But it was loud
Yeah.
when I sat down tonight.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it can be a challenge. As we've said before about other things here, I don't know if you were here any of the times we've said this. But all the things that get thrown at people, whether it's, conditions in your body, things going on in your life circumstances, your relationships, whatever. And the things that happen that are challenging, which happen to everyone, just, different forms, different amounts. The difference between being a meditator or a Dharma practitioner, as the Buddhists say, and between that and being just whatever, a regular person. The difference is when those things come along. If you're, as a Dharma practitioner, as a meditator, as someone who's on the path of awakening in some kind of a serious way, and I don't mean a solemn way, I mean it's a serious way, an engaged way. The difference is that when these things come along, you go, okay, this is grist for the mill. This is something for me to work with. This is part of my meditation. Literally, when we're sitting here with our eyes closed, or maybe your eyes open, we'll talk about that eyes closed, eyes open thing in a minute. But when you're sitting and, okay, now it's the meditation session, and then the dog is barking loudly, or the radio is, people park their car right here 2 minutes after we start, and it's summer and all the windows are open and the radio, some of you have been through many sessions like that here. And it's very natural. You find yourself resisting it, wishing it would go away. That trying to push it away, trying to make it go away, and then after a while you realize, well, that doesn't work. But that's good. You have to go through all of that. You have to go through it, as much of it as you have to go through with that thing. And at a certain point, you go, okay, it's part of the tapestry. It's part of the panorama. Everything else is just my thoughts about it. For instance, when it started raining here, the rain started pattering on the what's this called? Skylight. What were people's reaction to that, or thoughts about it?
I really like having
I
those
just
sounds,
love
'cause-
them.
yeah, cause I don't,
Mm-hmm.
you don't always have time to pay attention to
Yeah.
those kind of things when you're working,
Right.
so they're actually kind of a nice awareness, a nice reminder.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, there's the rain, and it's a nice. Well, here's at least two ways we can think about it. One is, okay, it's a sound. And the other is, I like the word you just used, a nice reminder. What is it a reminder of? It's a reminder of, here we are, we're aware. It's a little, an alarm clock. It's an alarm. What do alarm clocks do? They wake us up, right? So it's waking us up to, oh, this is my awareness. This is a particular something to be aware of that is somehow waking me up to the fact that I am aware. And really, it's the fact that I am awareness, that I am this empty, open, free, boundless, non-phenomenal space within which the stuff comes and goes. And sometimes some of the stuff coming and going, like the rain, helps wake us up to that. Okay. So the question is, how is tinnitus different from rain?
Mine in particular is a little bit of an unpleasant sound. It's like it's a screech.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
How long have you had it?
a few years. It's like I used to think it was my refrigerator, and then I realized it was happening when I was outside.
Mm-hmm.
And I have other family members who have it. And
Yeah.
Some people find after a certain amount of time that their brain or the mind starts to filter it out, like
I filter
Dolby
it out a lot.
noise
Like I'm very
reduction.
good at.
Yeah.
I mean, my brain filters things out without me trying very easily. That's why it's nice to be aware of
Mm-hmm.
some sounds.
Yeah, and I'm sure you've researched
that's why I
all
said
this stuff. Yeah,
sometimes
and some people they'll use like white noise generators in
Yeah.
their rooms and so
I mean,
forth.
at first I thought I was going to go insane, but
Yeah, yeah, right, right, yeah, and the key to not going insane when something comes along that subjectively we consider unpleasant, and it looks like it ain't going away. What's the key to not going insane with it? You're an expert. You can tell us.
I guess my awareness goes to other things, or I just don't focus on it. Or,
Yeah, that's it. Don't focus. Don't fixate on it.
Yeah.
Fixation is really, I think, a very useful word. Fixation, because here, especially if this meditating with the eyes open once in a while is a very useful thing for kind of getting reminded that, oh, there's all this whole tapestry, this whole symphony of stuff that we're aware of. Why would I fixate on the one thing? Whether it's the tinnitus or the barking dog or the thoughts about my job or my ex or my, whatever it is. When you find yourself fixating on the one thing, and we tend to fixate on the stuff that we think is really unpleasant and the stuff we think is really pleasant. But either way, it's fixation. Either way, it's constriction. And either way, it's the same, just relax your grip. Relax into the openness. With your eyes closed or your eyes open. And
I think that's why I think when it's rain or thunder, it's like expansion. It's not constriction.
yeah. I've got some stuff in my eyes. And again, a lot of you reach a certain age, some of this stuff happens. I got floaters in my eyes that aren't going away.
Yeah.
And I started with, just one sec. Yeah, go ahead.
How can I stop putting things down and insulting things?
Okay, let's get to that topic in a minute, okay? 'Cause
Okay, I want to
almost
stop
done.
doing that.
Okay, so we'll get to that. So yeah, not fixating. So at first when I got the floater, that was a good challenge for me because I was fixating on, oh, this is going to make me crazy. This stuff's never going away. I'm never going to have clear, open vision again. And every once in a while now I realize, oh, are those things still there? Oh yeah, they're still there. I just haven't been paying attention to it.
You think it's a bug sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, no, that's happened to me. You think, oh, where are these gnats coming from? Right. They don't. There's certain things about getting more mature that they don't tell you about. This is one of them. This is one of them.
When I heard the rain, I felt a surprise and gratitude
Mm-hmm.
and amazed
Mm-hmm.
and elated.
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, should I break out of my meditation to run out and preserve the dryness of my shoes? Is there a cover over shoes?
Right. Right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
We should have turned around.
Yes. Yes. So I notice you did not.
I
Uh-huh.
didn't. I decided just to let
Uh-huh.
them get wet.
Yeah.
Or not, if there's a
Or-
covering out there.
Right. Right. We'll see.
But if I'd been more aware walking in,
Right.
less in my head and more just relaxing into awareness, I probably would know if there's a covering over them or not.
Right. Yeah. 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 More attentive.
Yeah.
I prefer that word because it's not so much I like to make this distinction. It's not so much awareness, it's attention. Attention is, because otherwise we get into this thing, oh, well, I'm really very aware today, I was less aware yesterday. And that's not really the case. Attention, because people often mix these things up, attention is this focus. It's this faculty of focus, which is something within awareness. You could think of attention as like a narrow flashlight beam within the big room of awareness. Okay? So if you're fuzzy and you're still perfectly aware, but you're just aware of fuzz.
Or you're aware you're arriving late, and then you
Yeah,
tend to
you're
go
aware of
forward as
something
what
else.
situation I'm going to walk into, and what's
Yeah,
the best way
you're
to deal with that.
Yeah, so your attention is on something else. Right. Right.
But it was so loud, which is such
Uh-huh.
a wonderful thing in our
Yeah.
climate where it rains so infrequently.
Yeah.
To really be able to appreciate what was happening.
Yep.
And it just came like on cue when you said that, and then left
Yeah,
when you
what a-
told it to.
Damn, I'm good.
Great.
Want to see me do it again?
Experience, yeah.
That was always a little exciting.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Do you know that film? Anyone know that film, The Truman Show?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that film. One of my favorite lines is when Ed Harris, Christo, the godlike character who runs Truman's World, says, "Cue the sun." If you haven't seen that film, it's highly recommended. So within the context of meditation, fine, rain comes and we go, and that's a sound. And then there's a thought about it. Did any of you have this sound first when it first started? Oh, what is that? Is it squirrels scurrying on the roof or something? Right. 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 So good, that's a thought. And then there's a thought, oh, it's rain. And then maybe there's a wave of, oh, that's nice, that's pleasant. Ooh. Or maybe a wave of worry, oh, are my shoes getting wet? Okay, whatever. This is what is known technically in the ancient Tibetan teachings as stuff. Okay, this is stuff. This is stuff coming up. And all the stuff is different. Right? A feeling of worry about your shoes is different from a feeling of how pleasant this is. A thought about, oh, it's a squirrel is different from a thought about, oh, no, it's rain. So all the stuff is different from all the other stuff, but also all the stuff is exactly the same in that it's all just stuff. And for the purposes of meditation, it's that second thing that is useful, that is relevant, that we treat all the stuff alike. We treat all the stuff alike, which is stuff. We could treat it as, so.
But
That's
the one
that,
might have
that's that.
warranted immediate action.
Yeah, that's the difference between meditation and action. And in action, yeah, then you make decisions and you act on some thoughts and you don't act on some thoughts. In meditation, the idea is you don't act on the thoughts. The reality is, if I'm sitting here, Yafa and I were sitting here every morning meditating together. if I think I smell smoke, I'm going to get up and do something about it. I'm going to check it out. It's okay. We can get back to our meditation. So, and also, as you become more and more a mature practitioner, and I know you've experienced this more and more, walking out the door and tending to your shoes is not that different from sitting in the chair with your eyes closed or open, right? It's not that different from riding your motorcycle, or doing whatever you do. More and more, it's all just stuff moving around in awareness, and more the pervasive okayness of it all. Sam, you were talking about that before. The okayness of it all, more and more that's the dominant note. So it's good that stuff comes along that seems to challenge the sanctity of the silence. It's good that you you worry about your shoes. Cool. Okay. Some of the things are easier to see. It's easier to sit here and have a sense of humor. Okay, maybe my shoes will get wet and I'll have to go home and dry them. It can be a little harder to go, okay, this freaking tinnitus is not going away. Some stuff absolutely is more challenging. But that's... but the Dharma, the practice of this resting in beingness, the resting in the open space of awareness, does meet it all. Does meet it all. I mean, that's kind of the promise of the sages in every tradition.
When you say does meet it all, what do you mean, does meet it all?
It meets it all. It turns out to be the best way for us to meet whatever's there. You can meet it. I mean, and we've tried other ways of meeting the challenging stuff, like aggression, fear, cringing, batting, lashing out, freaking out and running around. Yeah, all these different ways of meeting the challenging stuff. You've tried this is like an advertising slogan you'll sometimes see for, I don't know, an ice cream or floor wax or something. You've tried the rest, now try the best, right? So when we try the other stuff, okay, what's gonna work for this situation that I'm whatever, that I'm worried, or that I've got this medical situation, or that I've got this relationship situation, or I've got this addiction situation, whatever it is. We try all that other stuff, and then we try this, and oh yeah, there's something about this just rest. It's so stupid simple that, I mean, the hardest part about it sometimes is believing that something this stupid simple can be that profound. But it's because it's simple that it can be profound. Anything that's less simple has specificity to it, right? And that means it's going to have a limited application, right? Whereas because this is simple, because there's nothing to it, there's no specificity. Anything that's, like really got a wonderful quality of, let's say, red, is going to not be blue. It's going to not address the blueness of life, right? Anything that like really beautifully addresses the high notes of life is going to miss the low notes of life, so to speak. Is this? Yeah. So it's got to be something that's no notes. It's got to be something that's no color. It's got to be something that's no nothing. And that's what this is, just nothing. It turns out that the just nothing is what addresses everything. Funnily enough. So did anyone do the whole meditation with your eyes open, or a significant part of it? Yeah, and anything to say about that?
is different,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure. I think it adds more to it in terms of just being in your senses,
Mm-hmm.
because it engages the eyes in the sense, in the meditation.
Mm-hmm.
And also in the direction that you gave us to see all of the things that are here that are our friends that have been designed and are used to make our lives better.
Mm-hmm.
That was nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this friendliness of the world, friendliness of the environment.
There's no swords or spears or anything here. It's books
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
and lights and comfortable chairs and
Right.
and warm, comfortable carpet
Right.
and hardwood
the
floor.
the advanced course is where you get that the swords and spears are your friends also. No, seriously. I mean, the what?
Or the charnel grounds.
Yes, yeah, the charnel ground. One second. Yeah, the charnel ground in some of the Tibetan teachings, thank you. And in particular, certain meditations, they say, okay, the best place to practice this is in the charnel grounds. The charnel grounds is where they put the dead bodies, where they dispose of the dead bodies. And you know, in Tibet, soil where you can, arable soil where you can raise food is very precious. So they can't use any of that to bury bodies in. So the charnel grounds are usually like a rocky place where the bodies are there, and they actually break them up, and they feed them to the vultures, and a few other things like that. But they don't just put them in the ground and make them conveniently go away. And by the way, the people who do that breaking up of the bodies and feeding them to the vultures have to be monks who are considered to be of a very high order, very high awareness, because they have to be able to see all that as cool, as part of the sacredness, the silence, I read once an interview with one of these monks, and he said, how horrible for the person who has died if I'm reacting to his body at the end of his life with disgust. I have to hold it as the highest, as part of the infinite as much as anything else. So some of these practices, some of these meditations, you're supposed to do in the charnel grounds. Because it's just the most challenging place to be, to sit there with your eyes open and go, oh yeah, whatever's here let's just be open to it. It's all cool. It's all friendly.
Is there a reason that they don't cremate bodies?
Wood is scarce. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. But this one Lama that I used to study with, and someone said to him, and he actually taught us one of these practices, this main practice you're supposed to do in the charnel ground. It's called Chud. C-H-O with an umlaut D. It's pronounced Chud. It's Chud meditation. That you're supposed to do in the charnel grounds. And someone said, but Rinpoche, we don't have a charnel ground to practice in. He said, the world is a charnel ground. Right? Everything is decaying and being transformed into the next thing. So you might want to do some of this in your practice at home. This just relaxing back with your eyes open. Actually, your eyes are always open. It's only your eyelids that can open and close. Right? What we call meditating or just being with the eyes closed. The eyelids are closed, but the eyes are still open. You're still seeing colors. When you open the eyelids, you're seeing different colors. And of course, there's some thoughts that are telling you, oh, that color is a window. It's just more stuff. And it can seem more challenging to rest in all that with your eyes open, which is the reason to do it. When we first start practicing, we first start meditating, one of the really cool things, one of the really great things is, oh, it's such a contrast. during the day I'm running around, there's all this stuff going on, and then I close my eyes and, oh, no stuff. Oh, it's so beautiful, it's so refreshing. It's just like I'm in the cave now. Cool. But then, with kind of more mature stages of your practice, what's great is to not have so much contrast. I mean, there's always a time for that as well. It's cool to be in the cave, but it's also cool to be out here, resting in openness, and just this is all part of the silence. This is all stuff within the awareness. And if you do that for at least some of your practice, maybe for a whole session once in a while, or just for part of a session, at the beginning or at the end or whatever, what it does is it accelerates the erasing of the completely artificial dividing line between so-called meditation and so-called life. Okay. At the beginning of your practice, it's really good. Oh, life is like this, and the meditation is like this. And then more and more it becomes time to fuzz up the line between the two. Okay, yes, so you wanted to ask about something?
How can I be more positive instead of so negative? Like, I see some people are so positive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, they always have like peppy, upbeat, like
Mm-hmm.
complimentary things to say, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
They're so like cheerful and like.
yeah. No, it's a great question, and the couple of things. One thing that we were just talking about before was about fixating on certain things. Like, let's say you're having this thought that's a negative thing. Oh, this person is such and such a way, or this thing.
Yeah,
is
that's awful. I hate it when I do that.
Yeah. So, but see, what you're saying right now, that's the first step, is first recognizing that you're doing that. And recognizing...
It's just a waste of time.
Yeah. So you recognize that you're doing it. You recognize that it's a waste of time. You recognize, I don't like doing this so much. It doesn't feel good.
How
But-
can I change it?
Okay, well, first, recognize it. Second, realize, okay, just what we're talking about. Like, imagine that, let's say you've got this particular thought. Imagine some particular negative thought about a person or a thing or something. That corner of the room, you see that corner of the room where those three lines
Yeah.
come together?
Uh-huh.
Okay, imagine that point is that thought. Okay?
Uh-huh.
Just for now, imagine that point is that negative thought. Now, is that the only point in the room?
I know.
Yeah. So so when you allow yourself to get caught up in that negative thought, it's like you're just staring at that point. It takes work to do that. It's
exhausting.
Yes, it's exhausting. It's so unnatural. It's so
It wears
opposed
you
to our
out, acting
yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and so opposed to our nature, our true nature, which is to be open and friendly. And so when you realize you're doing that, you're just staring at that point, at that negative thought, you're fixating on it. One thing you can do is use your breath as a cue. Like, take a big breath and go, and as you breathe out, like, just really have the feeling of, okay, I'm letting go of hanging on to that thought, hanging on to that point, and opening to the whole room. Look, there's all these other points, all these other things I can think about, all these other things I can look at. What are the other things going on in my life that are more positive? All these nice people, all these friendly chairs, So just when you so the first step is recognize, I'm fixating, and second, recognize I don't like doing this, and third, recognize I have a choice. It's just habit. It's just habit that keeps us coming back to that. Why else would you do a thing that is unpleasant and, as you say, exhausting? It's habit. We've had so much practice. So when you realize you're doing, so what you have to do is form a new habit. It's hard to get rid of an old habit, but it's easy to replace it
Well,
with a
how
new
can I be
habit.
more peppy like a cheerleader?
Well, because
You know what I mean? How
Yeah.
they're always like,
yeah.
woo, and everything's like,
Yeah.
up. And
Well, first of all, you only see them when they're out there on the field doing their cheerleading. Everyone also has time And it's sometimes easy to think, oh, they're always like this and I'm always like that.
They're more fun and entertaining,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, but they have
Nobody
downtime.
likes that. Like, you never get anywhere when you're nasty, you know?
That's right.
You
But
don't get nothing or nowhere.
yeah, but so I guarantee you the cheerleaders also have some downtime, you know.
Yeah.
But how can you be more peppy? You said it a minute ago. All this dwelling on negativity is exhausting. So if just deal with that one thing. Deal with that when you realize you're fixating on that point, on that
It's like
negative
there's
thing.
something
Okay,
wrong
just
with
okay,
you,
yeah,
you know?
okay, so just listen for a minute,
Okay,
okay?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So when you realize that you're doing that you're fixating on it, okay, so this is my homework assignment for you. Every time you realize you're doing it, just breathe out. Use your breath as a cue to like let go of that 1 degree there, let go back into the 360 degrees where there's all these other things you can pay attention to. Now, if you keep doing that, so you stop exhausting yourself with the negativity, then automatically you'll start being more peppy. You won't have that you won't have to do anything about. When you stop exhausting yourself, you start being more energetic. That just follows. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Dean.
Sure, you're
That was
very
really
welcome.
helpful.
Good. Yeah, and keep doing this meditation. Keep doing the meditation. You'll see it. The stuff works. You hang in there. Hang in there. What else?
It actually, what you just said made me think of when sometimes if you have something that's, your, like that your, thumb is sprained or something and say, how are you doing? And you'll say, parts of me are excellent.
Yes, you're right. Right. I stole that line years ago from a T-shirt I saw that said, "I may not be perfect, but parts of me are excellent."
That's good.
I mentioned I had my physical today, and they drew blood, and getting the needle stuck in the arm is usually not one of my favorite things, but it was good. It was another, again, like I was saying before, it's another opportunity to practice. And in this case, specifically, the point that Yoff is raising, that's an opportunity to practice not fixating. What a crazy thing that is. You get the shot, and what do? What percentage of your body is having pain inflicted on it? Right? Like, 1,000,000%. And what do people do? This is what we were saying before about attention. They put all their attention on the one part where the pain is and completely lose touch with the other 99.999%, which is fine. What a crazy thing to do. Right? So this was an opportunity for me to practice when they were taking the blood out of me instead of, and I find myself starting to do that. Start to do, oh no. Just spread my attention to the rest of it. Oh yeah, the soles of my feet are fine. My head, all this just. All right, and then that's just a little detail. So that's a kind of a metaphor for life, for the tinnitus. It's not even a metaphor, it's quite literal. You can be fixating, having it all in the tinnitus, knocking your head against it. And in a way, I know it almost might maybe just seem like insulting to say, but when we have something that is kind of so annoying, or so that we can't ignore it, but in a way, it's a blessing because we have to deal with it, because we have to. A whole lot of people that get on really serious spiritual paths, they'll point to the thing that was the disaster in their life that set. Pema Chodron, any of you familiar at all with Pema Chodron? Wonderful teacher, wonderful books. And so you may have heard her tell the story of, she was a housewife up in Canada somewhere, and living, just this regular, very, kind of life somewhere in the suburbs with a husband and a child. And she was standing in the driveway one day, and she thought everything was fine, and her husband came home and said, "I'm leaving you for another woman."
Wow.
And she looked around, she picked up, she found a rock, she picked it up and she threw the rock at her husband. And that was the beginning of her spiritual path. And she, when she talks about it now, she talks about how deeply grateful she is to her husband for bringing that just into her life, what to her at the time was this total calamity, total collapse of what she thought her life was going to be. You know, it was something she had to deal with. There's a book, I think it's one of her books, the title is The Wisdom of No Escape. And I've never read it, but I just like, oh, all I need is that title,
Right.
right? That, wow.
Like me.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool, we're getting lightning. What a show.
East Coast weather.
Yeah. Yeah.
You arranged that especially for us, I'm sure.
Yeah, right. If I had that power, what would I do?
Oh, that sounds cool.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, every once in a while, I have a thing, and probably some of you have had this. You ever have a dream, like you see a face in a dream, or you meet a person that, like, who's that? You never met that person before, and then the next day in your waking life, you meet that person, or you see them on the news. You've had that. It's not uncommon. We just somehow in the dream world we kind of get access to the connectedness, the non-separateness of things, and that, you know, time and space are not quite as clear-cut as we usually think. So I had it, this was years ago, and I was living in New Jersey, and I started getting on a streak where I was just kept seeing this stuff in my dreams, and then the next day I'd see that same face, oh, this person in the news, or I'd meet the things kept happening. So I started keeping a pencil and a piece of paper on the nightstand, and going to bed I'd go, okay, give me a lottery number. But it didn't work. It didn't work. So, okay, we'll be doing this again in 2 weeks. After that, stay tuned, because there's going to be, I'm not sure yet exactly how, but there's going to be a little adjustment of the calendar, because I got a little bit of travel coming up toward the end of March. So just make sure you're paying attention to the email alerts. And YouTube friends, if you haven't done so, you might want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, and that way you can get alerts, and you'll get alerts to all the upcoming sessions. Okay? Anything else? Oh, I wanted to mention, I just had a visit from a former student of mine who's a dear friend, and this is his first book. He's a wonderful, this is not a Dharma thing in particular, except that he learned to meditate in my high school class, and he's the co-author of this book, which is coming out next week, called American Cipher, Bo Bergdahl and the U.S. Tragedy in Afghanistan. If you remember Bo Bergdahl, he was the American GI who walked off his base, then wound up, horrible, just captive, held prisoner by the Taliban, and
Right.
horribly tortured for 5 years.
Oh my God.
And then came home and he was a hero, and then people decided, wait, is he a hero or was he a traitor? And so there's a whole lot of untold parts of the story that so my wonderful friend and former student Michael Ames, he and his co-author Matt Farwell wrote, and I've been reading the advance copy, and it's really an incredible story. So American Cipher at your local bookseller or online. And in a way that, of course, does connect exactly with everything we've been talking about. I mean, the stuff that Bo Bergdahl had to put up with in captivity, that's some real challenge.
Did he meditate?
he did not have this kind of formal meditation training that you've had, but you do find, and it's very common when you hear stories of like John McCain's stories of his years in captivity as a POW in Vietnam. You know, just when put in that situation, people start figuring out some kind of meditative something, just out of necessity, you know? And it's, and in a way, it's a wonderful testament to the naturalness, the thing I'm always emphasizing, the naturalness of this. It doesn't, you know, it's wonderful that we've had these traditions over the centuries that have preserved this and given us names for it and the vocabulary and all these cool Sanskrit names and Tibetan names. But you know, it's like, you know, feral kids, you know, when kids are left out in the woods and, you know, they have to develop skills on their own and develop maybe some language on their own, you know, left exposed to suffering, having to deal, will develop some kind of something in a meditative direction on our own, or go crazy. So,
Shoes.
oh yeah,
Oh, we
She's
pull them
out
over?
there, you might wanna go, cause it's,
Yeah.
going down.
Honey,
Yep.
is the light on?
As usual in disasters, half of you were spared and the rest were swept away.
What's wrong here?
You get to see who's who when you go out there, or who was smart when
test
they
your
played.
test your karma. So may all beings swiftly rise to the challenge, whatever stumbling blocks appear in their lives. May they recognize those stumbling blocks as the stepping stones on the path to awakening. And may all beings swiftly realize the true happiness, their own nature, which is exactly the same, sky-like, open, empty, free, no matter what's going on within it. And thus may the root of all conflict spontaneously evaporate and peace prevail everywhere. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.